It's really funny how things unfold, how the football gods, they just do their work because it's very, very funny to me that a guy in Debo Samuel that was clowning the Eagles last year and had all this to say about James Bradbury and how the Eagles this, the Eagles that, and then he lost in the Super Bowl. You saw what Fletcher Cox said. I got something you don't. And guess what? The Eagles in 2024, they got something you don't. And then we're seeing you get shipped off to the Commanders. So that means we get to beat you twice a year now. Oh, this is amazing. I mean, this trade is equivalent to Paul George going to the Sixers. That's what it is, bro. That's what it is. And I know that Jay Daniels is nice. I know that Scary Terry is nice. And they're looking for Deebo to be that wide receiver too and be that 1-2 punch next to Scary Terry. But that doesn't faze me at all. It doesn't. Because I got a guy in Cooper DeJean that he's locked down Jamar Chase. So who the hell is Debo Samuel when this man locked up Jamar Chase? You feel what I'm trying to say, bro? So I'm not worried about no Debo Samuel, bro. I look at this. I look at it like this. Debo's best year of his career was 4 years ago, 2021. Since then, he's been all right. Ayuk, when healthy, has been better. It's a reason why the 49ers were like, all right, let's go ahead and let the Commanders play this 17 million. And all we need is a 5th round pick for him. Look, I know people was trying to compare the Cowboys getting the guy Jonathan Mingo, I believe, for like a 4th round pick, and the Commanders acquiring Deebo for a 5th round pick. And y'all know I don't like the Cowboys at all. I don't like both of these teams. But I'll be fair and say the Cowboys aren't eating 17 million. You know what I'm trying? Like that's a big that's a big difference. You saw Micah Parsons tweet that, and it's facts, bro. So again, I don't really think this is such a big deal. Like, hey, if Deebo has a renaissance and he gets in shape and he ends up becoming, a top 10, top 15 wide receiver in this league, even though I think he's a running back, I mean, I'll go out here and say I was wrong, but I don't see this really moving the needle for the Commanders. And I think best case scenario for the Commanders is that Debo Samuel becomes a slightly better Austin Eckler. And if you just looked at last season, Debo Samuel was a slightly better Austin Eckler. Now, they're probably going to have a bunch of sets where they have both Deebo and Brian Robinson in the backfield. That worked for them this year, and we saw that, be effective with Austin Eckler. So that's something that they'll try to do. And I don't think like Deebo is going to put up bum numbers, but he's not about to put some numbers that's like, oh my gosh, like, remember when Deebo got traded? Nah, like, if anything, the Commanders' success next season is predicated on what they do on their defense. I'll say this. I'm not worried about no Deebo to the Commanders, but we're going to talk about this a little bit later on. But Myles Garrett to the Commanders, all right. Now I'm sweating. Now I'm like, oh, okay. Now it's like, you like wake up from a nightmare, you like sweating and stuff. You like, yeah. No, that's a nightmare I do not want in terms of facing Myles Garrett twice a year. And part of why I think that the Eagles should acquire Myles Garrett with caution is the fact that you want to get him out of Washington, D.C., get him out of the Detroit Lions and Aiden Hutchinson, that pairing. Hell no, we don't want that. So that's something right there. But I want to get to this, actually goes right into the Eagles' top 5 priorities for this offseason, right? Here are the Eagles' top 5 priorities this offseason. Number 1, sign Zack Baun. You got to re-sign him, bro. You got to, because Zack Baun is a unique type of player. He's 28 years old, all-pro, defensive player of the year candidate as a linebacker. He was flat out sensational this year. But for most of his career, he was a special teams gadget type of player. So that means he doesn't have the wear and tear guys like Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, or linebackers that have had high percentage of snaps their whole entire career. So you're getting a guy in Zack Baun that's coming off a career year and doesn't have the wear and tear that most defensive player candidates and all pro linebackers would normally have at his age. So you have a window 2-3 year window that you got to maximize with Zack Baun. And I would say, bruh, you got to go ahead and re-sign this guy. You don't want to have a TJ Edwards situation where you go ahead and let him go to the Bears, right? Get cheap with him, get cheap with the linebacker group, and then you're very, very thin at the linebacker spot. And now we got Shaq Barrett coming off the couch and Nicholas Morrow playing high snaps in the playoffs. Like, we don't want that. And we see just how valuable that linebacker position is in the Vic Fangio scheme, whether it was Nakobe Dean snapping, whether it was a guy in Zack Baun snapping, whether it was Oren Burks, who was very, very good in the absence of Nakobe Dean in the playoffs. He was very good. So ultimately, you have to re-sign Zack Baun. That is number one. Number two, re-sign. Oh, it's not re-sign. Number two is sign Cam Jurgens to a contract extension this summer. This offseason, you need to do this because I look at it like this, and Howie Roseman does a phenomenal job with this. Howie Roseman will pay a player early and not wait, unlike the Bengals or the Cowboys, that they wait. Now, the Bengals, they don't got the money that the Eagles or Cowboys have objectively. So it actually looks worse for Jerry Jones waiting up until, late July, early August to get a deal done with CD or Dak when it's like, and he's gonna do the same exact thing with Micah Parsons. And it's like, dog, you got the money, but you want to be the champions of the offseason and the champions of the media circus instead of being champions of the actual freaking season. But that is a conversation for another day. We know that the Cowboys are incompetent. The Eagles are the opposite. Howie Roseman has a track record of paying his players early. He paid A.J. Brown early. He paid Devontae Smith early. He got them contract extensions early. He paid Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata. So these are guys that are very, very pivotal to this offense functioning. And I'm looking at Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens was a top 5 center this year. He was. And there was a lot of talk about how Jason Kelce being missed and the offensive line taking a step back. And ultimately, Cam Jurgens showed it's the reason why Jason Kelce handpicked me to be his successor. It's pretty simple. And so if I'm Howie Roseman, my number 2 priority this offseason is to go ahead and sign Cam Jurgens to a contract extension and just get it out the way because you're going to have to pay him regardless. We know this. Go ahead and get that out the way. Number 3, keep Darius Slay for one more year. Now, this not only is great for on the field, but more importantly, I think, off the field. Now, if they can restructure Darius Slay's contract, make it between like 6 to 12 mil on a 1 year, this is his farewell tour. And we saw Darius Slay last year. He was snapping. He held quarterbacks to an 81 passer rating when they threw against him. Now, throughout the season, we did see him get banged up, and it would be like he would play the first quarter and then be banged up like the second quarter, the third quarter, come back. I mean, what did he say? He heals like Wolverine. So I got to tip my cap to that. And he's obviously getting older, so he's not going to be able to, I guess, rejuvenate like he used to do when he was younger. But I look at Darius Slay as a invaluable mentor to Quinyon Mitchell specifically and of course to Cooper DeJean as well. And I just don't think it's wise to let him walk, let him go after 1 year with those young defensive backs and after 1 year in the Vic Fangio system. So I really think the value Darius Slay has as the OG of the group, as the guy that's been there and done that, that has all pros, that has Pro Bowls, that's been that guy for many years in this league. You saw this guy, Quinyon Mitchell, talking about him before the draft. And so I think it's very important to keep Darius Slay for 1 more year, bro, and go out there and, draft a corner. You can draft another one in this draft, or if you think that Keely Ringo is like that, hey, I don't know. We gotta see. So ultimately, you got to go out there and, you know, let Darius Slay be there for 1 more year. Number 4, in this draft, the Eagles should get a defensive tackle in the first round. I want either Walter Nolan or Mikael Williams. Now, what Walter Nolan did at Ole Miss, it was sensational. And he was extremely effective in rushing the passer in the SEC. Mikael Williams isn't as great right now with rushing the passer. He's great against the run, but he's a Georgia Bulldog. And this is a guy that when he's with all those Georgia Bulldogs in Philly, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's that certain chemistry, that certain connection. I bet my bottom dollar Howie Roseman is looking at this guy and saying, I want him to be a part of my Georgia, Philadelphia Bulldog squad right here. Or he's at least going to think about it, go out there and see, hey, what can I do with that? But with Milton Williams potentially leaving for a big bag as he should, you got to replace him with a stud defensive tackle in this draft to pair up with Jalen Carter, right? Let's go ahead and get Walter Nolan or Mikael Williams. And number 5, the Eagles have to make sure the Commanders or the Lions do not get Myles Garrett. Like I said earlier, I ain't worried about no Debo Samuel, but what will give me nightmares and will make me wake up sweating profusely and be like, oh my God, what just happened? Would be a trade sending Myles Garrett from Cleveland to Washington, D.C. Heck no. I do not want to face that guy twice a year. I saw that guy single-handedly wreck a game and tip the scale when the Browns played the Eagles, and he was the only reason that game was remotely close with a quarterback in Deshaun Watson who doesn't know how to play football anymore. Now, you don't want the Commanders getting that, because if they get a star edge rusher, a superstar edge rusher, the best defensive player in the draft, I said the draft, in the freaking league, not the draft, the freaking league, that is something that is not ideal, to say the least, for the Eagles. So if that comes down to whatever it is, bro, whether it's going to reporters and saying that the Eagles want Myles Garrett, maybe that's what Howie Roseman's doing right now, and that drives up the price, and then another team swoops in and gets Myles Garrett instead of the Lions or the Commanders, so they get outbidded. Or the Eagles go out there and they trade for Myles Garrett. I'll say this, and I was on record saying I would not trade a Philadelphia Georgia Bulldog for Myles Garrett. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have Myles Garrett. And this is similar in a way to Saquon Barkley. Now, I do believe that it's different because you had to trade for Myles Garrett versus with Saquon, he was a free agent. But it's similar in the fact that, like, you got superstars that can make a certain position group OD. Like when Saquon came to the Eagles, I mean, yeah, the Eagles, they had Miles Sanders, they had DeAndre Swift, and it wasn't like the run game was terrible. It was really good. It was damn good. But Saquon got it to a whole nother level. With Myles Garrett, if you pair him up with Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, that defense that sacked Mahomes 6 times without blitzing, imagine what they would do with Myles Garrett. I mean, it would be sensational. And I do believe that in this league that is constantly evolving and people are copycatting what the Eagles are doing. And obviously, it's different being the hunted versus being the hunter, which the Eagles were last season, especially coming off of 2023. That you're going to have to retool and all that stuff. And ultimately, bro, like my whole reservation with it is I don't want to trade away a player like a Nolan Smith that is like, hey, he could become way, way better and has a lot of potential and showed that in the biggest stage in the playoffs, bro. I mean, has a franchise record 4 sacks in the playoffs. So that was my whole reservation. But given all I said, I would for sure trade Myles Garrett for 2 first-round picks. No question, no debate. No debate. My whole thing is I don't want the players like a Jalen Carter. I mean, obviously he's untouchable, and Nolan Smith or Jordan Davis. I would prefer not for them to be in the trade. But first-round pick, and the Eagles are going to most likely pick 32 or 30, in recent years. Hell yeah. Because there's no freaking way the 30th pick in the draft, the 32nd pick in the draft is going to be even remotely close to the production and the talent of Myles freaking Garrett. So it's 2 ends of the spectrum, bro. It's 2 ends of the spectrum. You got the one side that's like, trade him. I don't care if it's Nolan Smith. I don't care if it's, Jordan Davis. I don't care if we got to let go of Zack Baun. Hell no. Hell no. I will say that. No. If the Eagles acquiring Myles Garrett comes at the expense of not re-signing Zack Baun, hell no. I can't do that. Can't do that. So that's the one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is we don't need Myles Garrett. Like, we're good. He's a cool player, but hey, like, we go, well, what we got? And I think that's a bit disingenuous because Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in the league. Like, it's kind of similar to the talk when we acquired Saquon Barkley. Because when Saquon Barkley was acquired by the Eagles, or prior to that, conversations were, we good. We got DeAndre Swift. Just pay him. Focus on the defense. And what did they do? They gave Saquon Barkley the bag, and the Eagles got a championship. And he had a 2,000-yard season, arguably one of the best seasons a running back has had ever. And so in all of sports, you have to go star hunting. Star hunting, it wins championships. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. Like, the Eagles won all their Super Bowls through star hunting. In 2018, in 2018, Carson Wentz is one of the biggest reasons why the Eagles won the Super Bowl, because he had an MVP-like season before he got injured. And then Nick Foles just went ahead and carried that torch to the finish line. Now, the Eagles traded up to get Carson Wentz. So the Eagles trading up to get Carson Wentz paid dividends because they got a Super Bowl out of it, and you're being disingenuous if you say that Carson Wentz had nothing to do with it. In 2025, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, what happened? The whole Chiefs game plan was to stop Saquon Barkley. And that made Jalen Hurts' job way easier than it did in that 2023 Super Bowl, right? And the Eagles went out there and won a championship, and Saquon Barkley was a huge reason because of that. And what they do, they went star hunting. So I think it's very, very similar. And I think there is a history in the NFL that star hunting, F the picks, like the Rams said when they acquired Matthew Stafford, like that definitely is a thing. My only thing is I'm cool with the picks getting sent off. I don't care about them like that. But the young players, I would prefer to keep these guys. Those are my 5 priorities, bro. I'll talk about Scott Leffler real quick. Scott Leffler as the Eagles quarterback coach is a phenomenal hire, great hire. This is a guy that has been able to adapt throughout his career. He coached Tom Brady at Michigan. He coached Tim Tebow at Florida. If that doesn't show that if that doesn't show this guy can't evolve, that this guy just ain't a one-trick pony, I don't know what is. Those are the most opposite players you could ever compare in Tim Tebow and Tom freaking Brady. That's a fact right there. Also, it's kind of funny, tongue-in-cheek, but Leffler getting ejected in a game reminds me of him just being, he got to be a Nick Sirianni guy. I mean, he got to. I mean, that's something that Nick Sirianni would do. And I know Big Dom is going to have his hands full because now he got to mediate a bunch of guys on the squad, right? Now I'm just playing. But ultimately, like, I see this as a great hire. This is a guy with phenomenal experience. He has a lot of experience. And also, his most recent job came at Bowling Green for the past 6 years. And out of those 6 years, 3 of them, they went to a bowl game. And so he was successful there. And it speaks a lot. That's my 1.2 I want to add on this. Scott Leffler becoming the Eagles quarterback coach after just being the head coach at Bowling Green speaks to how coveted the job is to work with Jalen Hurts. Bruh, Hurts got the Midas touch because if you just do a decent job, you're going to get a job, a promotion working with Jalen Hurts. Now, Shane Steichen was amazing. He became a head coach. I don't think Kellen Moore was like amazing. I think he was good. And now he's a head coach. And so if Kevin Patsullo does well next year, he might become a head coach. And that might, open the door for Scott Leffler to become the offensive coordinator. And then what's going to happen? He'll become a head coach in the NFL. So this was definitely him seeing the landscape of the Midas touch that Hurts has and be like, dang, let me be a part of this. It's not a coincidence that this man out here leaving his job as a head coach to be a quarterback coach. And you got to give Jeffrey Lurie credit for paying big bucks for these, position coaches. And you see how he paid for Vic Fangio, paid for Jeff Stoutland, and it paid dividends. The offensive line and the defense is why the Eagles are champions. And I just feel like you have a guy with a boatload of ideas, a boatload of wisdom, and a hella experience. And he'll be able to keep some guys in check, maybe if Kevin Patsullo or Nick Sirianni, if they get stuck in their own ways a little bit. So I like the hire a lot. So going off the offense, and then we'll get to some 49ers trolling, and then some Shedeur Sanders to the New York Giants, and Aaron Rodgers to the Giants. And we'll end off with this whole Tank and Roach fight. I'll react to that. But first, it's actually annoying when people are like, oh my gosh, like that Devontae, Jalen Hurts, throw and catch in the Super Bowl. It was amazing. And it just shows like, all right, yes, it was amazing. We know that. But if you watch the Eagles all season, that was their third best throw and catch for a touchdown, Hurts and Devontae. Because the one against the Jaguars was the best one, by far. And the one against the Bengals was better than the one in the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, the Super Bowl has higher stakes, and that touchdown will be remembered more than those. But I actually feel insulted that it's this big, oh my gosh, like, did you see that? We've been seeing it all year and been trying to tell y'all this is what they do. This is what Hurts does. This is what Devontae does. Like, and you saw Devontae didn't even celebrate like that because it's routine. It's what they do. It's what they do. Like, I feel like people don't watch the birds. Like, don't watch, because I wasn't surprised seeing that. I know what Smitty is capable of. I know what Jalen Hurts is capable of, especially throwing that deep ball. He's the best deep ball thrower in the league, top 3 at worst. I've seen what they've done. So again, I actually feel insulted when they're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, did you see that? Oh, it was amazing. Oh my God. Well, it's an amazing throw, amazing catch. Bruh, compared to what they've done in the past, that Joe is aight. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and that's, again, speaking more to the greatness of Hurts and Smitty, bro, and the connection that they had, bro. Connection that they had. Want to also talk on production over talent. I hear a lot about talent. Talent's overrated. I'm taking production over talent any day of the week. I'm taking a 46-20 record. I'm taking 140 touchdowns to 39 interceptions. I'm taking 2 NFC chips, a Super Bowl championship, a Super Bowl MVP, All Pro, 2-time Pro Bowl, all in 5 years. I'm taking production over talent. Sure, Lamar Jackson's more talented. Sure, Josh Allen's more talented. Sure, Justin Herbert's more talented. I'm taking the production, especially in the playoffs, over talent. That's what it is. So I kind of get insulted too, and they're like this big 4. Bruh, I can relate it to basketball real quick. James Harden is more talented than Dwayne Wade, but Dwayne Wade is better. Dwayne Wade has a finals MVP and a championship without LeBron James. And he actually helped LeBron James become a champion and develop that championship mindset. So yes, Dwayne Wade is better, but James Harden is more talented. That's just what it is. But that don't mean that the guy is better because he's more talented. It's similar in football, bro. Now, there's definitely, like, it's case by case. It's not all the way through. Like, I would say that Aaron Rodgers is better than Troy Aikman. I would say that. And I would say that Aaron Rodgers is, more talent, definitely more talented. But even like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, like, Aaron Rodgers is more talented than Tom Brady, no question. Like, what can Tom Brady do that Aaron Rodgers can't do? Nothing. Nothing. But it's like, Tom Brady's a freaking GOAT. Production over talent, 6 rings. Oh, I'm sorry, 7 rings. 7 rings. And in 2 seasons has as many Super Bowl championships coming out the NFC and appearances that Aaron Rodgers has. Production over talent. Production over talent. Going back to like the whole Debo stuff, I gotta troll the 49ers. Again, it's very funny to me that the 49ers were talking so crazy last year. So wild. Had all this to say. And they choked in the Super Bowl once again. And then fast forward to this year, the Eagles, they got the ring. They beat the guys that they couldn't beat. And so I'll be looking at 49ers fans laugh at the Chiefs losing, and Mahomes wrongfully saying that they'll three-peat. And it's kind of like that friend at the lunch table that's laughing at a joke about somebody else. It's like, hold up. I know you're not laughing. I know something about you. Like, you better not laugh. And I feel the same way with the 49ers. It's like, I don't know why y'all laughing. Y'all haven't won in 30 years. What are y'all? The bougie Cowboys. The bougie Cowboys. And your main culprit in Debo Samuel, who was talking the most crazy, now he's shipped off to the NFC East. So we get to beat his ass twice a year. Pretty funny. So again, like, I don't know. It's just like how the tables turn in the NFL. It's amazing. It is amazing. Shador Sanders to the New York Giants. I don't want that. As an Eagles fan, heck no. No, 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 no. Now, look, I'll be honest. Like, if the Giants get Shador, do they have a lot more problems outside of quarterback? For sure. Like, that offensive line definitely is an issue. But I did see Shador Sanders with a subpar offensive line lead he ended up leading college football in completion percentage. You can't sneak. That's not something that you can be like, oh, okay, that ain't nothing. That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. So, do I want to face Jaden Daniels and Shador Sanders twice a year, making that 4 times a year? No. I don't want the Giants to draft Shador Sanders because I don't want to face Shador and Malik Neighbors twice a year. Now, obviously, again, they got other issues, but I heard this other report that was saying the Giants are focusing in on Aaron Rodgers. Please, please, oh my gosh, if y'all do this, that would make my freaking month. Please do that. That would just be like amazing. Like, that would be like the cherry on top because that might set their organization back like 10 years. Like 10 years. I'm so like it'll be so bad. It'll be so freaking bad. And so I'm not surprised that like they would do that. But like, that's something that is hilarious that it's even like a thought. Even a thought. Last John, bro. Tank versus Roach. I'll say this. I'll say this. I was wrong. I definitely thought like Tank would win that fight. And after the fight, I said a draw was fair. A draw wasn't fair. Roach should have won. Roach should have won. And I think a big winner of this fight is Floyd Mayweather. Because this just makes his legacy better. I mean, 50-0, bro. 50-0. And I think a lot of fighters are trying to emulate what Floyd did. And they'd rather have a big payday versus a fighter who, people aren't talking about as such a big threat. Because nobody thought that Roach was a big threat outside of Roach's camp. That's just what it is, bro. That's just what it is. A guy that's moving up in weight to face a knockout artist with a 93% knockout rate. And nobody thought nobody thought Roach was going to have a chance. And if you did, at his camp, probably. And if he wasn't, I got to tip my cap to you. But yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, bruh, we got to stop holding these fighters to that Floyd Mayweather standard. Floyd was different. He was different. Like we'll probably never see somebody like that go 50 and freaking 0, bro, and beat all of them world champions. Like, that's just not something that we're probably going to see. And I think if more fighters and fans realize, hey, that, replicating Floyd stuff, come on, bro. That's a dream. And just start fighting the best of the best. We'll see more guys like Tank go ahead and fight Shakur, or they'll fight Haney, or they'll fight Tiafimo, or they'll run it back again with Ryan Garcia, although I don't really want to see that one. But, like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, Tank wants to make the most money and not have the competition. That's what he wants to do. I think that as a fan, it's like I would like you to face the best of the best. And this is not a shot at Roach, but it's saying like I would rather Tank face Shakur. I mean, Shakur was in the stadium. I would rather him face him. You feel what I'm saying? Than Roach. But this goes to show you like any given match, these guys can get beat. And we'll talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is what happened on that knockdown. Initially, I was like, it's not a knockdown, but when I really looked back at it, it was a knockdown, bro. Now, by the book, it's a knockdown. And I just feel like, I mean, what did Tank say? He was like, the grease and the sweat got in my eyes. My eyes was burning. I believe Tank when he said the grease and the sweat got in his eyes, and that's why he knelt. But like, you still knelt. Like, you still knelt on the canvas, bro. So it's like, and you had the ref go out there and start counting. I've never seen that. Now I'm 23 years old. Maybe this has happened before I was alive, but I haven't seen that in boxing before. And so Roach should feel like he deservedly won that fight. I think it is pretty crazy that up until that 12th round in which Roach won, he was actually down on the scorecards. That was interesting to me. And Roach had the biggest punch of the night when he stunned Tank in the 8th round. And we didn't see Roach, get hurt like that all freaking night. So Roach had a better game plan. He grew his confidence as the match went on. And ultimately, like, he made most of his opportunities, bro. But I think a big winner in this is Floyd Mayweather, because it goes to show you how hard it is to be 50-0. I think Tank has to get his get back. And ultimately, bro, it was a knockdown. And to Tank's defense, though, bro, because here's my problem. Here's my problem with the whole boxing culture. And again, I don't watch it like I do basketball or football, soccer, whatever. My problem with boxing, bro, is like, I don't understand the switching up on Tank. I understand that stuff, bro. Like, again, I can't hate on a guy or say he's a bum or whatever because he's not Floyd Mayweather. Like, we got to stop holding these guys to standards that they simply aren't at. You feel me? And we got to start giving more credit to the fighter that made this a great fight. It was a draw. One could argue they didn't like this. They didn't like the output. They didn't like, the freaking, like, just what happened. They would have rather somebody win or lose. But it was a great fight, just pure watching it. But we got to give credit to Roach and his camp and their game plan and how they executed that, and get away from Tank's a bum, Tank this, bro. Again, you can't knock somebody for not being Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is arguably the greatest boxer of all time for a reason. For a reason. He has the greatest career. It's not even a debate. And all you're arguing is his prime. Now, next to other guys. But like, come on, bro. You can't be just, I don't know, man. That's what it is, bro. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Show a friend. It was a extended episode today. So again, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Let's talk with Miles Johnson, where y'all know I always keep it real. I'm out, y'all.